What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? I hope you're all enjoying your bye weekend Sunday. It's one of those weekends where you're coming off back-to-back victories and you can just sit around, kick your feet up, and say, hey, guess what? In 7 days, Tua Tagovailoa will be taking the field. So our excitement comes next week. To be honest with you, I haven't really watched very much football today. I just had a bunch of errands going on and stuff. I've kept up with some stuff, but I just saw Herbert gave it to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I know some people are out there impressed, but let's all remember, Ryan Fitzpatrick only had to throw the ball 22 times, and we lit them up. So it'll be interesting to see when he faces a tough defense, another rebound and huge game for Joe Burrow after that tough game against the Baltimore Ravens last week, and him and the Browns have a shootout. I watched a bit of that. Pretty interesting Sunday. And then we got the night game that's about to pop off in a little bit. So what we're going to do here right now, guys, is we're going to wait about the first 20 minutes. I'll just interact with you guys, and then we'll get into the top 25 and honorable mentions. Yes, the list is even longer. I could have made, 40 players, but I kind of wanted to give you guys a top 25. And there's a lot of guys who are likely first-round picks, and there's some guys who could be in the second. Even at the, so just because we have 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. So there's a couple man crushes who snuck in at the bottom of the top 25 just because they're my man crushes. I had to get them in there. Actually, you know what? I'll say this. I have more man crushes this year than I did last year. So say what you will about that and the quality of the draft. It's gonna be an interesting video. There's gonna be some controversy because there's gonna be some names not on the top 25 that people are gonna be like, why isn't he there? And I already know one name right now, 2 names actually off the top of my head that'll probably create some controversy. And I'll explain them, I guess, briefly in the honorable mentions, just because there's so much to talk about in terms of, guys. I have a 5,000 word document. Okay, you know how much work went into this thing? I didn't think I was like, oh, it's not a film analysis. This won't be that bad. Oh boy. We're talking literally, to get specific, 4,865 words. Okay, I basically wrote a dissertation on the top 25 for you guys. All right, like literally, this I should if I was in a sports program, I'd be submitting this as my final paper. Okay, like it's ridiculous. No, even second. Yeah, early second, because there's going to be a few names that could drop to the second, including someone who was in my top 10. The video was done. His scouting report, his mini scouting report. Well, I don't want to call it mini because that's downgrading it, but it's not a full scouting report, but it's basically a 66.6% scouting report. Jaylen Waddle, he's injured. He suffered a season-ending injury yesterday. He's in my top 10, spoiler, but I'm not going to move him out, and he could slip down to the second now, right? Like he could make a full recovery, and it's all good, but he could very well slip down to the second. But he's just such a good fit that I can't. Yes, I am a football nerd. Checking out, how did Rashad Bateman drop on your board? This man, with no practice or whatever, Minnesota gets washed out by Michigan yesterday, and Rashad Bateman puts up 101 points with some pretty poor quarterback play from Tanner Morgan. Damn, bro. What are your expectations checking out? This man just walked onto a collegiate field against Michigan, the superior team in Minnesota this year, and said, all right, let me just put out a quick hundo. Let me put out a quick century on these guys and let me shake the rust off. That's crazy. Yeah, but you'll hear why. I talk a little bit about that, his separation, but he's a really actually pretty good separator, but you also got a guy who's rusty. Yeah, Jason, Tua's brother's not very good. Exactly, Nico, doubles all game. And when you get doubles against you, it's harder to stem and stack, really, right? Because usually you might have someone over top of the route. So you can stem and stack the first DB. and a safety comes across or another DB's there, it's no good. Shout out to Josh Valencia with the 1999 donation. Shout out to you, homie. I hope you're having a great day and staying safe. Fins up. I'm staying safe. It was the first reflex. There's a center I'm going to talk about that's at number 20 on my list who could be at the top of the second round. Perfect example. So pay attention to that. Oh, there you go. There you go, Joe B. I appreciate it. Waddle will be ready for next season, Ernesto. And I got some interesting notes about Waddle, man. Like, trust me, if he's healthy, you'll hear why there was only one receiver I put. And it's so objective. Y'all know Bateman is my wide receiver 1, and he's not even in the top 2. Put it that way. Let me see here. Sorry, guys, I'm just going off. Hey, KA, how you doing? Hey, Fin-Fan, how you doing? Jason Greaves, what's going on? Vicken, Scotty Joe, Darth Vader, what's going on? Shake Money, Latrell, Marky Mark, Joe B, Marinos Go, Josh Valencia, appreciate you and your donation. What's up, Matthew? How you doing, homie? Chalk Van Straw, love that name. Chocolate Vanilla Strawberry, love it. Clemente 3472. You should have just called yourself was it Neapolitan? Jonathan Joseph, what's going on, buddy? MG Taxman, Ronnie, what's going on? Ronnie likes Parsons on the cover. It's already off to a good start. He says Jonathan Joseph, Lakers all day. Havoc, what's going on? I'm just trying to shout out everyone. Todd, I see another donation come through. I'm about to get to that. 1 second. Checking out. We were talking. How's you doing, homie? Hope you're good tonight. All right, check it. Let's go all the way down. I just seen I have a wrench that deserves some love. 1999. Bro, I gave you a wrench because you were the first one in, bro. I gave you that at the beginning of the stream, man. I commented right after you. You're the first one in, Josh. Shout out for you being the first commentator. And I just slack sometimes, man, because I don't have YouTube open a lot. I usually just do it through StreamYard. So I just said, to myself. I didn't announce or anything. I just made you. My bad for not announcing. And I was going to, but I was in a rush. Kane Goat 6. What's good, homie? How you doing? Nice to see you back. All right. So, yeah, guys, we'll give it about another 10 minutes and we'll get right into it. It's about a 30-minute video. Okay? So I'll full screen. It'll be just like the film analysis. I'll full screen it. You'll hear me like a white Morgan Freeman that knows football narrating behind it. Agreed, Jonathan Joseph, Waddle, agreed. What sucks about Waddle's injury? I was really excited to see a higher sample size. You know what I mean? Like, one thing you'll hear my scouting report about him, he flashed every time he had the ball. And I think this isn't in the scouting report, but I think he had like 40 targets last year. He only had 40 targets, but that's why they use him as a kick returner, punt returner, because he's just so dynamic. Like, and he flashed every time in the passing game, whether they designed, whether they designed a play for him or whatever the case may be, he always shined. And to see him with a bigger sample size and possibly get 80 or 90 targets, and kudos to Mac Jones. I told everyone last year he was good. He was no slouch, and he's playing pretty well. He doesn't throw with the same anticipation as Tua, and you could tell the accuracy isn't as in the same realm right now, but Mac Jones is what a system quarterback is, and his footwork isn't that great, but he's producing, and it just sucks more for Devonta to eat though off, right? Yeah, Joe B. Mims is the real deal, bro. Thoughts on Zach Wilson? He is a fun watch, Jason. BYU is exciting, bro. I watched that game till they pulled him in the fourth last night, till like just after 1 o'clock Eastern. Zach Wilson is a fun watch. He might actually be the funnest quarterback to watch right now in college. And y'all know I love me some Sam Howell and some Trevor Lawrence and some Keldon Slovis, and I love me some Jaden Daniels. But Zach Wilson is a fun watch. And shout out to Dante Collinelli for actually being the one to put me on him. Scotty, I think about it, Yeah, that was a crazy game, Nico. Joe, he'd be number one. Well, he would go higher than Fields because I think, I remember EM last year when I was on the other platform, he used to give me trouble over that Fields stuff. And I told him, I said, Fields is a real deal. Fields is blowing up. And he's taking that further step in his development. I told everyone he's not as fast, but he's if Lamar Jackson could kill you in the pocket. He's just not as fast. Tua and Trevor are very close. I think Tua is more polished, but I could also at the same time make the argument that Trevor might have a higher ceiling. Like Tua, I could see top 5, top 3 quarterback in the NFL. I don't know if he'll ever be the best. You know what I mean? Trevor Lawrence, I could see top 5, top 3, but I could see him being the best. Agreed, Jason. Tanner Morgan's terrible. And Rashad Bateman still put up 101 on Michigan. And Michigan has some good defenders. Kwity Paye, I believe his name is. He's pretty good. I'll check him out, Scott. I've never actually heard of him. Yeah, Josh, that's the thing. Trevor has he's just he's the prototypical specimen when you talk about a quarterback, right? Tua is 6 foot, you know what I mean? That's probably why Trevor would go number 1, even if Tua is a little bit more polished and refined. Troy, hopefully no more. And hopefully, shout out to Infinite Trauma. I was holding my breath, hoping today that the Jets were about to pull that one out over over Buffalo today. Jason, I don't know, man. It would be a tough call if right now, I'm not picking Trevor if we have him. I'm picking the guy who's number 1 on my list that you'll see. And to move out of the number 1 guy on my list, it would take me 4 or 5 first rounders to sit at the table. And I've even started to turn EM into a believer, and y'all probably already know who that is already. Yeah, of course, Jason. I wouldn't pick Tua. I wouldn't pick Trevor because you have Tua. Now if we didn't have Tua, I mean, yeah. Sunshine Kid, baby. Josh, you'll find out. Let me just tell you that much. I just saw your comment from a minute ago. You'll find out what I think, my friend. Mark, that's the thing. I'm keeping Waddle where I have him because the film was already my video was exported and my scouting report and everything was done yesterday before the injury happened. And I literally had only some things to clean up on the 11 to 25. So I was done the top 10. The video was exported. I was like, I am not going back and pushing this back more for Waddle's injury. But Waddle's perfect. Jalen Phillips is good, Lakers, but there's some edges I like better. Which organization deserves Trevor Lawrence, Vicken? Oh, man, that's a good question. I mean, as much as we hate the Jets, they don't, we are justified in saying they don't deserve him because they just had Sam Darnold, but they're dumb enough to hire Gase. That's a really good question. I mean, Baker's even starting to play well, right? Baker played well today, too. Wow, that's a really good question, Vic. And who deserves Trevor Lawrence the most? Phew. Dallas doesn't deserve nothing, Jonathan. Man, that's a good question. Who deserves him the most? Well, if Baker Mayfield wasn't there and started to play well again. Yeah, but see, Scotty, I can't say Atlanta because they went to a Super Bowl and they had an MVP quality quarterback with Matt Ryan. I'm trying to think of a team that's kind of been a cellar dweller and hasn't had a good quarterback. You know what I mean? Like, so no, the Colts, man, they had Peyton Manning to luck. They don't deserve nothing. And the Giants, they had a position to turn it around. They took Daniel Jones, and they had Eli, who took them to Super Bowls. So I can't say the Giants. Washington. Yeah, exactly, Jevon. I said that as you typed that. Washington deserves Trevor Lawrence. Washington deserves Trevor Lawrence. And I'm not out on Haskin either. Let me make that clear. I've actually defended this kid. This kid I can't believe he doesn't have a job and Daniel Jones has a job. That's a freaking travesty. Because Daniel Jones statistically is better than what Josh Allen was. And if you look at Dwayne Haskins is deadly. He just needs a good offensive line. That's what he needs. He doesn't need weapons. He's not that type of guy where everything needs to be perfect around him. No, he needs a good offensive line. So that's not on him. They got rid of Trent Williams. You know, that's why Penei Sewell makes sense for them too if they want to keep investing in Haskin. But like Kyle Allen starting over Dwayne Haskin, man, if that doesn't tell you it's harder for an African-American quarterback to make it in the NFL than a white guy, I don't know what will. Because, I mean, I can show you Dwayne Haskins against some rookie. Like, he blows – if you put his first 16 games up against Josh Allen, they're better. If you put his first 16 games up against Daniel Jones as a passer, he's way better. I mean, the guy has over a 60% completion percentage. It's not like this guy's out here throwing 53, and he has a decent touchdown interception ratio. Haskin is not the problem. Yeah, Dan Snyder doesn't deserve it, Nico, but he has his guy in Haskin. He just needs to draft an offensive line or spend money. Like, it's one thing to get rid of Trent Williams and replace him. It's another thing to get rid of Trent Williams and then not replace him. All right, guys, so we'll wait a couple more minutes here, and then I'll get into it. Who wants to trade Xavier Howard? I agree, Shake Money. Pittsburgh would be perfect. He would be the perfect replacement for a guy like his. I mean, he's just a prototypical pocket guy. He doesn't have legs, right? Tampa Bay does not deserve Lawrence, CEO. Are you crazy? Yeah, you trade Jordan Howard. You do not trade Xavier Howard. Jordan Howard, I'll print his bus ticket right now. Jevon, I think Darnold to Pittsburgh is scary too. This is why I don't hate on Darnold. I've already explained to people what Darnold's deficiency was, and it was coaching. Okay? And it was the playbook, and it was the routes, and how long they were taking to develop, and no underneath checkdowns or rub out routes. Like, this was his problem last year to like week 12, and then Gay started inserting them week 10, week 12, and Gay started inserting them, and he became a more efficient passer. But now the offensive line is a disaster. Sam Darnold going to go somewhere and pop off. See, when everyone got on our asses about Rosen, we would always see, like, listen, if you were worth a top 10 pick, you would still flash and show us why. Darnold has flashed and shown you why, albeit it hasn't been able to be consistent because the coaching and the offensive line around him is absolute garbage. Like, it's a dumpster fire. But he flashes. And agreed, Joe B. Someone's going to get Darnold for like a fourth rounder, maybe third rounder. Thanks, Josh Rosen, for killing that market, right? So, like, third, fourth rounder for, like, quarterbacks. But don't worry, Darnold will be good. Yeah, we do. We do run them Larry. And actually, that's what the Patriots and Jacksonville and the Bills, that's what they were using, especially on crossing routes against us, because they were getting a lot. That's what was killing us with Noah. Not just the outside stuff, but he was getting rubbed out like consistently, and he was chasing routes because of it. That was Noah. And then when you go look back, the last two games, the Jets and San Francisco have tried it, but Byron's been mirroring his receiver, and he can play well in traffic, so that's not an issue. What do I think about Herbert, Carvin? Well, Herbert was my number 4 quarterback. If you go back to my big board, it's like quarterback big board from March or April. It's one of the first videos we ever did on this channel. He was my quarterback 4. If you actually listen to my analysis, which again is going to be probably about like I said, my analysis is about 2/3. That'll be like a full one. And I said, footwork was poor, but when you saw his mechanics in line, like basically you saw poor film at the college level because of mechanical issues. But I highlight certain throws and talk about certain throws where I saw his mechanics. His footwork was nice. He wasn't doing the swimming motion with his front arm. It was high and tight, locked in. Just perfect mechanics and the ball, because of his arm strength, was where it needed to be. But when you talked about and you kind of saw it against the second half against the Saints, when they started kind of forcing him to outside routes and started taking away stuff in the middle, and they forced them to make anticipatory throws, he wasn't as accurate and they kind of like messed with his mechanics because they just got him back in old habits. Well, when you got him clean, when Herbert's clean because of that arm, yeah, you saw, but because of the mechanical issues and he didn't have a steady growth over 4 years like a lot of other quarterbacks, those were red flags. So out of the top 4, so mine was Tua was my QB1, Joe Burrow. Like, here's my thing. Everyone out here, Tua is the best if Burrow, Tua is the best if he doesn't get hurt. Well, okay, take injury out of it. Look at it subjectively. If he's not injured, who's the best quarterback? I'm not asking who's the most fragile. Who's the best quarterback? And it was Tua Tagovailoa. Number 2 was Joe Burrow. And then number 3, I had Jordan Love. And then number 4 was Justin Herbert. And so, yeah, I give kudos to Anthony Lynn because he's done pretty good, but they've also simplified the playbook and dumbed it down. You can tell. They've kept it simple for him, and it's working. So good for them. They beat a team they should have beat today. That's a very talented team outside of Justin Herbert. They won that game, so good for him. Yeah. My statement is, and this is why everyone says, oh, Reason said he was going to be a bust. No. Reason said at the top 4, I see the highest bust potential in Justin Herbert. That's what I said. So, and right now, doesn't look like Burrow or Herbert are a bust. I don't think Tua is going to be a bust. And Jordan Love's in the most ideal situation out of all 4 of those guys. So I don't think right now it looks like neither. You're going to have 4 hits out of all the first round quarterbacks, which is actually crazy to think about. If you actually think about that and put that into context. And Jacob Eason could come in for the Colts and after Rivers leaves and he could be a hit. Now all of a sudden you got 5. What's going on, Sean Jones? Anthony, it's not his problem. All right, guys. So we got 111 in the room. Let's get in to. I got no music, so it's just my beautiful voice, people. Let's get into this. Bring up my notes. All right, guys. So, the first screen, the landing screen, green dots are going to indicate they've opted out. All right, guys. All right, let's get into it, guys. So, here we go. This is my top 11 to 25. And as you can see at the bottom there, guys, it's Tyler Shelvin and even Caden Stearns might not be first round picks. Our homie right there, Paris Ford might not even. Same with Josh Myers. But let's get into this. Kenneth Gainwell and Najee Harris could very well be second round picks as well, but they just make a lot of sense. All right, so I want to start off with some honorable mentions. So Jamar Chase is not on this list. Andre Cisco, the safety out of Syracuse. Abraham Lucas, my favorite right tackle, is not on this list as well. Washington State. Joseph Asai, the linebacker / edge out of Texas. Brevin Jordan, the tight end out of Miami. Chuba Hubbard, the running back out of Oklahoma State, fellow Canadian boy that all of y'all know I love so very much, right? He's not here. And there's a couple other guys, and we'll continue to get into them right now. So Alex Leatherwood is not on this. Jackson Carman, another tackle I really like, is not on this. Sam Cosme is not on this. A tackle out of Texas I really like. Liam Eichenberg, a tackle out of Notre Dame I like, is not on it. Sage Surratt, the wide receiver out of Wake Forest I really started to like while watching Jamie Newman last year, is not on it as well. Okay. Landon Dickerson, a center out of Alabama, is not on it. Either is Gregory Rousseau, Quincy Roche, and Trevin Morig, the safety out of TCU. Either is Adarius Washington, the other safety out of TCU. All right. So that's quite an extensive list that I left off, but I had to make mention of because that's a lot of talent, especially those TCU safeties. I really like Gregory Rousseau. Y'all know I'm not very high on. Jamar Chase. If this would have been a 30 list or even a 26, he probably would have been the next on the list. Running backs are on this list, guy, because Breda is a free agent, and I do not see them re-signing them, and they may wanted to move on J.K. Dobbins this year, so that is a real possibility, and I think they're going to pair someone with Myles Gaskin. All right, so let's get into this. So let's start with my first man crush of this video, and that's 25, Tyler Shelvin, the defensive tackle, the truest nose tackle probably in this draft. He could go anywhere between this mid-second to the mid-third, but he's an immovable object. He's perfect run-stuffing nose tackle for the next level. He's 6'3", 350 pounds, but he's quicker than you would expect and has some explosion in his first step. He stacks blocks and disengages with absolute ease at a consistent rate. He can handle double teams no problem. He doesn't offer much in the pass rush, though. That is his downside. Number 24 is another one of my man crushes that you've heard me talk a lot about. Brandon Jones, his former partner in crime, and that's Caden Stearns. Dating back to last season, you know, I've all been in love with him. He's rangy. He's got great sideline to sideline speed. He's a solid read and recognition skills. He's got pretty elite instincts and ball skills as well. He's one of the better ball hawks of the safety class. He had a solid first year at Texas, but he battled some injuries last year. He's great, solid in coverage. He forces turnovers, and he's agile, which allows him to force pass breakups as well. He closes windows pretty fast in coverage. He needs to get better at playing in traffic while needing to be more consistent at wrapping because tackling is his weakness. Number 23 for me is Christian Barmore. He's a sure tackler. He always makes sure to wrap and finishes the tackles. He rarely misses. He's quick off the line and doesn't let offensive linemen vice grip him under the pads to move him. He's a constant blocker, pocket disruptor. He is a good interior option in terms of the defensive line. He's stout in the run game with strong hands that help him shed off blocks easily, and he plays at a pretty good pad level. He just needs to develop a more defined pass rush move set. He uses his athleticism and raw power to win most of the time, and at the next level, you're going to need some stuff like bull rushes, swim moves, etc. 22 is another one of my man crushes, and that's Chaz Surratt. He's a converted quarterback to linebacker. I love this kid's motor because it never stops, and it might be the best and highest motor in this draft class. He's a great blitzer. He's very effective in the run game at shooting gaps and getting into the backfield for a tackle for a loss. He has a he's a great overall athlete, just generally. He has a high football aptitude thanks to his playing time as a quarterback, and he was a National Player of the Year in high school as a quarterback. He's great in traffic. He can make plays in coverage, while his athleticism allows him to handle running backs and tight ends no problem whatsoever. Next guy up, number 21 here. He's not a man crush, but he's someone I really, really like, and that's Paris Ford out of Pittsburgh, guys. He's another safety. He's probably the biggest lumber layer at the safety position in this draft, which makes him one of the funnest watches in this top 25 when you look at this. He has a knack for always being around the ball or the ball carrier. He's a very explosive first step. He's got very fluid hips, along with being great at reading and recognizing in the run game. And it usually has him steamrolling downhill to make a play. He's got good overall speed. He's a good overall athlete, but is more suited as a single high safety. And his side would have me as a coach keeping him out of the box. He's a former cornerback converted to safety, and we know this staff loves those type of guys. Number 20, Josh Myers. I really like Trey Hill out of Georgia. I said Dickerson there out of Alabama. There's some centers I like here. It's a pretty deep center draft. But I like Josh Myers a lot, and he's young. He's still got 2 years of eligibility if he does not want to come out this year. So he's got great footwork. He's solid in pass pro. Sorry, he's got 2 years eligibility, including this year. Sorry. He's solid in pass pro. He's no problem communicating protections along the line. He's no problem getting to the second level or handling a linebacker, and he's agile enough to play guard too if you want him. And that's another versatile type of aspect that this coaching staff really covets and loves right now, right? So once he locks his hands underneath the defender's pads, no problem moving them back or off the line to the side. Number 19, again, I love this linebacking class. One of my biggest man crashes right here in this draft is Nick Bolton. You guys have heard me talk on and on and on about him. He is he's your old school interior linebacker modernized. He's 6 feet. So you want a little bit more there with the height. He's 232 pounds, but he looks like a brick shithouse. I mean, I didn't know how else to say it. And he plays like one too. I love the physical aspect of the game, and he had 100 tackles last year. He isn't as athletic as a Dylan Moses or a Micah Parsons, but is arguably the best playmaker of the three in coverage. He had 2 interceptions and 8 pass breakups last year and is fast enough to handle running backs and tight ends. He's elite at reading and recognizing and diagnosing plays before they happen. If I was to nitpick, like I said, I wish he was a bit taller, and he needs to be a little bit more consistent in getting off his blocks, but that's just nitpicking. So as I continue on here, Rondale Moore would probably be my wide receiver one. Like I know all of y'all have heard me said, if he wasn't 5'9", 180 pounds, because he's easily the most dynamic and lethal weapon in this class overall with the ball in his hands. He's got 4.33 speed, and it shows on tape constantly. He's gone in a flash, guys. You turn your head, you'll miss the play. Surprisingly strong for his size and will win some contested catches. Not all of them. You could make the case he's the most athletic receiver in this draft, maybe the most athletic out of the past 2 drafts. He eats, sleeps, and breathes yak, guys. He's a yak machine. I mean, he's a yak factory, however you want to say it. He's got good contact balance for a guy that's 5'9", 180, and he's actually quite the handful to try and take down in the open field, in open space. He can create separation any which way he wants on the field, just basically at will. And he's a solid route runner on top of that. You don't ever see him round them out. Crisp cuts. So number 17, guys, continuing this, Hamza Nasruddin. I love this guy from FSU. I wish the homie Ball Game was here, but Ball Game got caught up with some prior engagements that were supposed to be completed. But hey, let's keep it rolling, right? So this man is the tallest safety in the draft. He's 6'4", 215 pounds, but he's also one of the most athletic. You can line him up single high safety. You can line him up in the box, in the slot, on the boundary, as a rover, wherever you want. He's got very fluid hips. He can change direction instantly while staying with the route. Great length to his frame that he uses to disrupt the passes constantly. Great sideline to sideline speed, pursuit and closing speed. Can lay the lumber when he makes a tackle and rarely misses when he got a player squared up. So he's a pretty sure tackler. Number 16, another edge I like more than Gregory Rousseau, guys. Carlos Basham. He's not my number one edge. My number one edge is in my top 10. But Carlos Basham, he's got powerful, strong hands. He knows how to use them. He's great in the run. He constantly around the ball carrier, making plays or getting in the backfield to disrupt. He's got a high motor, not as high as Chaz Surratt, but it's high. Very explosive first step and uses it to basically, he uses it a lot, and aligned with his power and good hand technique, he's able to push linemen back almost immediately off the snap. Every play is high effort. He never takes a play off. I watched a lot of Wake Forest last year. I said I like Sage Rock because y'all know I'm a Jamie Newman fan. Carlos Basham, really, really like this kid. All right, number 15, Kenneth Gainwell. Now, Kenneth Gainwell, y'all know I like him, but I've seen Najee play continue. Najee's gotten better every year. We'll get into him in a sec. And I've got obviously a different number one based on but I don't think he'll be available. But I love Kenneth Gainwell. He's a man crush of mine. He's a great route runner. He can run any route out of the backfield, or he can be lined up in the slot effectively, running posts, corners, whatever you ask of him. He's got very, very soft hands. He's super agile in open space, he forces missed tackles at a regular pace. He's also strong enough and has good contact balance to break tackles just as much as he forces misses, and he's done it consistently at the collegiate level throughout his career. He might be the best receiving running back in the class, especially with those hands, guys. They are pillow soft. He's got great vision. He sees holes before they form, or he can make himself skinny enough to fit into the closing holes. He's 5'11", 190 pounds. He looks to be the perfect replacement for Matt Breida. He just isn't as fast as Matt Breida, but he looks to be the perfect replacement. He has better vision than Breida, but in terms of that passing game, very similar. So number 14, Najee Harris. He's got dominant size. He's 6'2", 230 pounds. He plays just as strong as quick short area bursts and above average long speed. He can run through the contact by lowering his shoulders, his pad level, or he can make a defender miss because he's definitely got the ability to juke and evade. Great catcher out of the backfield, guys. Very sure hands, runs routes quite cleanly for a man his size too, and has even further helped his stock this year with some big performances against Georgia and Ole Miss. So I've liked what I've seen. I continue to be impressed with him. He gets better and better every year. Number 13, y'all know what it is. I'm a Gators fan. We don't got to talk about that, but got my boy Kyle Pitts here. Between him and Pat Freiermuth, y'all know I love Pat Freiermuth. I would say Kyle Pitts is definitely the more athletic of the two. He's 6'6", 240. He's only 20 years old and still has a ton of room for growth and development, which is quite the scary thought when you think about it. He creates separation with his athleticism, his release off the line, or his ability to come clean out of his breaks and his routes. He can either shed a block or is elusive enough in open space to make defenders miss. He plays like a wide receiver and blocks like one too, because blocking, guys, isn't his strong suit, and that's why Pat Freiermuth is at 11 and Pitts is at 13. All right, guys, smash that like button right before we get into that top 10, guys. So, Marvin Wilson is probably the best defensive tackle in this class easily, though FSU's primarily a 4-3. He's got huge hands that can take on an interior. And he can take an interior offensive lineman out of the play with what seems like a mere flick of the wrist, as if he's swatting flies on a hot summer day. 6'5", 311, and is effective in stuffing the run or disrupting the pocket, but you'll never see him get double-digit sacks at the next level. He's got a really good anchor, strong at the point of attack, and moves quickly for a guy his size. And number 11, I got Pat Freiermuth, another guy who's opted out. And Pat Freiermuth is obviously the best blocking tight end in the class. He shows off power in his blocks or running when he puts his head down or pads low. Generally, he's hard to take down. He looks like he's in the 4.65, 4.7, 40 range and has good acceleration in the open field, good route runner, and steady hands. So with that, let's get into the top 10 guys. Creed Humphrey is my number 10 center, Oklahoma, and he's arguably the best lineman in this draft next to Oregon's Penei Sewell. Creed Humphrey might even be better than Cesar Ruiz, depending on who you ask. He has great hand technique, superb placement, and they can become vice grips if he extends out his arms and gets under a defender's pads. High football aptitude. He's also a great communicator on the offensive line. He's 6'5", 315 pounds. He has ideal size for transitioning to the next level at the center position. As elite as his technique is, his hunger and aggression for the physicality is on the same level. He has elite strength and power at the point of attack, which allows him to either stand up and move back a defender or pancake them with ease if he wants. That strength matched with his previously mentioned size could even allow him to transition to guard if need be, like the Saints did with Ruiz, who I spoke of earlier. Impressively, too, Humphrey has allowed 22 pressures, 21 hurries, and 0 sacks in his collegiate career thus far. He has good lateral agility, allowing him to move with quick defenders as well as smooth feet, let him move into his sets well. Is he perfect? No prospect is. Sometimes he can lose the leverage battle, which is the biggest concern on his tape by far, but it doesn't happen consistently or very often for that matter. The one thing, too, is he is a little bit of an average athlete. That's the one knock I will say about Creed Humphrey. I love the kid, love what he brings to the table. I think this could be your answer for Ted Karras in the long run. We missed out on Ruiz last year. We know they wanted him, but the Saints shocked everyone and took him, so that's why we moved back. I really like the kid. He's a good player. I'm not gonna say a single bad thing about Creed Humphrey and his ability and what he can bring to the table, man. If you can get him in the 20s, I'm all on board for that. I got no issue, no problem. Sounds good to me. Let's make it happen. You know what I mean? Let's do it. So my next guy, my number 9, is Jevon Holland, my favorite safety and one of my biggest man crushes in this draft. I mean, you talk about versatility. This guy literally eats, sleeps, and breathes it. So let's get into Jevon Holland, guys. So like I said, he's so versatile. By far my favorite safety because he's able to do so many things. You can line him up as a single high safety in the box, in the slot, or wide out on the boundary like Nasruddin earlier. I think he has an extremely high processing level, which allows him to fit any coverage or alignment he's asked of. He's a sure tackler, too, who is not afraid to lay the lumber on a receiver coming across his area. He's also, I said Caden Stearns could have been the best ball hawk. I can make the argument that he's the best ball hawk because he had 9 interceptions over his first 2 seasons at Oregon and another 12 pass breakups. He's got elite instincts, and that allows him to make a step on a receiver that may be quicker or shiftier in their route, making them harder to mirror for most, but not Jevon Holland. Those 9 interceptions I mentioned from 2018 to 29 were third most in the FBS over that span. Holland was one of only 12 FBS players last year to record at least 65 tackles and 4 interceptions as well. He's 6'1", 200 pounds with fluid hips when he flips them and has great length to his frame. He's elite. He has elite read and recognition skills, and that allows him to be very impactful in the run game as well when he's called upon, not just in the passing game, as sometimes it looks as if he sees a play before it happens. He is really a more complete safety and player, in my opinion, than what Isaiah Simmons was last year because he's better suited for safety at the NFL level than what Simmons was on his body frame alone. Now, Holland is also a pretty good punt returner too, as he's had 16 returns for 244 yards last year, once again displaying his ability to do so many things, something this Dolphins coaching staff coveted so much. Holland's biggest knock would be sometimes his sideline to sideline or even straight line speed could look average on tape. Some have questioned if he's an average athlete or not, which is why his combine will be watched so closely. I see a really good athlete, to be honest, and feel like people are nitpicking this prospect because he doesn't have very many, if any, red flags on film. Huge fan of this, guys. And number 8, Rashad Bateman, the man who returned yesterday with no practice and put up 101 yards on a way better team with below average quarterback play from Tanner Morgan. So, he is my wide receiver 1. Never mind the jersey number, which has now been changed to 0. I see OBJ 2.0 in this guy. His burst and ability to accelerate in the open field once the ball is in his possession, along with those steady hands that are super sticky. His ability to quickly reach out and extend on balls thrown ahead of him and snatch them out of midair, displaying a wide catch radius, is also very similar to OBJ. He's 6'2" and 210 pounds with the ability to high point a ball if thrown his way or win a contested catch. But his athleticism, speed, acceleration, and burst off the line don't limit him to the boundary, as he can line up in the slot or take a slant route from out wide all the way to the house. For his size, he has displayed the ability to manipulate his body or change direction midair to make catches. He had 60 receptions for 1,219 yards and 11 touchdowns last year. You all know I was a massive Tyler Johnson fan last year coming out of Minnesota, but watching him made me develop a legitimate man crush on Bateman. He's got good strength to match his size and uses his hands well, as he's never bumped or held up at the line off his initial release while having a great first step, initial burst and acceleration to create separation almost instantaneously. No one could match up successfully one-on-one with him last year. No one. He's a really, really good route runner, making crisp cuts and looking as if he may finish with a high 4.3 or low 4.4 time at the combine. He sells his routes well, too, as he can show his body moving one way, then break it back the other, causing the covering corner to bite, and it's too late to recover as the separation has been created for Bateman. Drops have reared their ugly head at times, as 10.5% of catchable passes his way have been dropped, but it's nothing he can't clean up with better quarterback play and watching the ball in more to his body instead of looking to make a play before it's even in his hands. So, I mean, he's been able to do with what he's been able to do with Tanner Morgan, who, I think is an absolute average at best quarterback. So Patrick Jones is my edge ones, guys. This is the controversy. Let's get into it. I think he's the more complete and polished edge player than Gregory Rousseau. And in my opinion, even if the athletic upside isn't the same, I'm going to stick with him as my edge one right now, guys. Jones and Basham are neck and neck for me, but Jones has elite length to his frame. He's got great bend around the arc, and he's got great short area burst, allowing him to get off the line fairly quick and well-timed consistently. He possesses good gap-to-gap lateral movement, always keeps the legs churning, and can cause havoc with his power in the leverage game. I think he plays at a really, really good pad level and has no issue getting low on his bend on the arc. Converting power to speed is no problem for Jones, as he looks as if he lays it all on the line on every single snap he plays. He's got a competitive edge to his game that is easily noticeable. He wants to be the best player on the field on every play and make a play on every snap, and it shows. His power also helps him in setting the edge, which, if you're a true Dolphins fan, that's something, we've learned you can never have enough of it. When you have it, appreciate it. Heavy hands allow him to stack blocks in the run game, while he tends to win a lot off of initial contact. Jones does need to clean up his hand placement on some of his snaps, though. He's also not an elite athlete like Gregory Rousseau, as I said earlier, but like every defensive line prospect, he may have a learning curve at the next level when it comes to winning consistently in the leverage game, a la Raekwon Davis. But I truly believe next to Carlos Basham, Patrick Jones II is the most refined edge player in this draft. And this kid is worth watching, guys. And I wanted to say earlier, shout out to my graphic guy, but he left the extra T out of Chaz Surratt. So, but yeah, I really like Patrick Jones, guys. He's my number one edge. He's got the body frame. You could stand him up. His hand doesn't have to be in the dirt. And he's a playmaker, guys. I really like this kid. I think we need edge help? No, but it never hurts, right? Like I said, us as Dolphin fans, we've all come to appreciate guys who can set the edge. So number 6 is Dylan Moses, linebacker from Alabama. And Moses is a special guy. He's just so fun to watch. Moses could have been the first linebacker off the board last year before my pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Patrick Queen, if not for an ACL tear. But instead, this year he has to deal with the transcendent Micah Parsons, making Moses the more than likely number 2 linebacker off the draft board this year. Great size at 6'3", 240 pounds, explosive in his first steps, shooting gaps, or even just flat out laying the lumber. Y'all know I love it. Moses is also a sure tackler with only 5 missed tackles in his whole career at the collegiate level. His read and recognition skills are elite too. It allows him to make a break on plays before they happen, which leads to him being effective in the run game. He's super instinctual and just has a feel for things before they transpire. He sees plays before they happen, which may be a result of him being a film study junkie during preparation leading up to games. He identifies keys well and doesn't fall victim to false keys. Good contact balance, and he always keeps himself square to the ball carrier, which again allows him to be a solid tackler. He's good in coverage, has no problem tracking the eyes of a quarterback or mirroring receivers in and out of breaks due to his fluid hips and quick feet. He's also got pretty good pursuit and closing speed. So, like Parsons, he's good in coverage. He can mirror, but he's not a playmaker. He's not going to bring you interceptions. He's not even going to bring you a ton of pass breakups. But he can still, if they make the completion, he can take them right down to the ground, and it's over with. He's not as athletic as Parsons, like I mentioned earlier, and he has been burned in zone coverage on film as his asset of tracking quarterback's eyes, like I mentioned earlier. Sometimes it's a downfall. He can find himself getting too locked in on a quarterback's eyes, and assignments get behind him, or he moves up and vacates a hole. But no prospect is perfect. Every prospect's got to get coached up at the next level, and Dylan Moses is a talented player. And let's get into number 5, who's now hurt, and that's Jaylen Waddle. And like I said earlier, this was made prior to the injury, and as was the scouting report. But prayers up for Jaylen. I hope he is healthy, sooner rather than later. Never want to see a young man like that fall victim to an injury. So this player, Jaylen Waddle, guys, he became the fastest receiver in the nation when Henry Ruggs left Alabama for the NFL. Waddle is a very special athlete. And to me, he's a bit of a more refined version of what Tyreek Hill was coming out of college. One of the rare players in memory who, though he was buried behind the likes of a Jerry Jeudy, a Henry Ruggs, or even a Devonta Smith, while Tua was at Alabama, every time Waddle got the ball, whether in passing situation or in a punt return situation, he always flashed. Every single time. And every single time showed you that he's something special. And it's incredible he was able to do that on such limited opportunities. To put his speed in perspective, as a freshman, Waddle raced Ruggs, which you can find the video of in a 40-yard dash, and they literally crossed the goal line neck and neck. Ruggs ran a 4.27 at the combine, so let that speak for itself. Josh Jacobs, while he was at Alabama, predicted Waddle could run a 4.28. Next to Rondale Moore, Waddle may easily be the most dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands out of the receivers this class. This is evident in his ability as a returner, as he's averaging 35 yards per kick return and 20 yards per punt return. In a limited amount of time, Waddle has displayed that he's no slouch as a route runner either. He's shown he can use his head on fakes or double moves to sell the route if necessary. Obviously, though, a bigger sample size was needed to see Waddle, and with Jeudy and Ruggs gone, we all thought it was going to be the year, but now he's injured. His size at 5'10", 185 leaves something to be desired a bit too, as he isn't exactly the strongest guy, and you can't count on him winning many contested catches. There's also the question, because of all of that, as to whether he can be a true complete receiver that can line up in the slot and split out wide at the next level? Or, especially now with the injury, can his body, shout out to Tua making that throw, can his body take the punishment at the next level? So number 4 is Devonta Smith. And the reason why Devonta Smith is higher than Bateman or Waddle is, like Waddle, Devonta is familiar target for a guy like Tua Tagovailoa. The problem is, unlike Waddle or any other Alabama receiver to come out in the last 2 years, I could make the legitimate argument Devonta Smith is Tua's favorite target ever. So I got to have him at number 4. He's not as fast as Waddle, but Smith is more likely to clock in at the mid 4.4, low 4.4 range on his 40 at the combine. He's great at stemming and stacking DBs on his routes. His catch radius is out of this world, and he's got arguably the surest hands in this draft with only 2 drops over his last 2 seasons. He's a big play machine, which is even more impressive when you think of the fact that he was the one making them more consistently than an elite route runner like Jerry Jeudy or a 4.27 blazer like Henry Ruggs, while all 3 were in the same receiving core at Alabama. Besides technique, he's able to create separation for himself with his athleticism when it's needed. His hips are fluid in and out of his breaks, and he has great overall body control, allowing himself to manipulate or maneuver his body mid-route or mid-air to make a catch. He also has good short area burst, allowing him to get off the line and release quick. For a man his size, too, he's fearless. He'll go over the middle or open himself up to take a hit just to come down with the football, which is commendable, but may not be such a good idea at the next level. Size is really Devonta's biggest downfall. Yes, his height is ideal at 6'1", but it's a fact he's 175 pounds. And it looks like on tape he may not play like it at times. You know, it begs the question that for a kid that size, can he last? You know, he's got to put on weight for sure. So this got to beg the question for a kid that isn't as athletic as Moore or his teammate Jaylen Waddle. Would putting on sides for the next level affect his game? He's talented enough, smart enough, and looks so much like a natural receiver that it shouldn't affect his game if he puts weight on. But hey, you never know with prospects, right? But love this kid. You know, I would not mind taking a weapon in this being the choice, because let's go get our favorite weapon for our quarterback and our franchise. Number 3 is Travis Etienne, the guy who I said last year would be running back 1, but you saw how the board fell. He didn't want to be a late pick, and he looks like he's going to be a top 15 pick at worst this year. And he's already electrifying and exciting Dolphin fans so far this year at the potential of pairing him with Tua Tagovailoa to form a formidable backfield. Travis Etienne would have probably been the first running back taken in 2020, like I said, but due to him believing it would be a late first-round selection at best, he decided to opt in for his senior year, and it's already safe to say he's a top 15 pick, like I just said. You take his game against Miami this season, he was downright dangerous on the ground and in the air, and as I've said before, to me, he's a more athletic Alvin Kamara. Etienne is lethal and has the ability to take any play behind the line of scrimmage or beyond to the house. I think he's arguably the most explosive back out of this year's draft class and last year's as well. I see between 4.3, 4.35 speed on tape at worst. He has crazy acceleration and can turn it on almost instantaneously. Once he's in open space, he's gone. There's no catching him. Super elusive with smooth footwork. Forced 91 tackles last year, which was best in the nation. Damn near elite contact balance for a man that was fast and, you know, that runs at the speed he does, and who's 5'10 and 205 pounds. He's not a small boy. So he needs to clean up the drops and become more refined as a route runner to utilize his speed and ability in the receiving game. He's kind of limited to screen, swings, and other simplified design passing plays out of the backfield, so you could use him on wheel routes and line him up more on the line of scrimmage if you make him a better route runner. The other big concern, and show off those hands, the other big concern is whether he can be a true bell cow back with 25 to 30 carries a game or not. He's only had 20-plus carries twice in his career. Both were in 2018. 27 carries for 203 yards and 3 touchdowns against Syracuse, and 28 carries for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns against South Carolina. But there's no doubt this man is super, super talented. And, you know, if we keep asking, do we need a bell cow back? You know, are we going to become a committee? And if we're coming committee, are we going to invest the top 15 pick on a guy like that who would be perfect for that committee? That'll be answered in April. So next to the number one guy on this list, my favorite prospect in this draft, who I've been telling all y'all since November, December, January last year, and also like the number one guy on this list. You know I love touting this guy. Parsons is a converted defensive end to linebacker. His size is about as ideal as it can be for the position at 6'3", 245, and he plays up to it. He can beat you with pure power or pure athleticism. You can blitz him, play him off the ball, have him shoot the gaps, ask him to stand up off the edge, and beat a tackle with ease. He's so versatile. Elite ability to read a quarterback's eyes is what this guy possesses, along with elite read and recognition skills, can diagnose plays before they happen consistently, and probably the most consistent out of the guys in the linebacking core I've mentioned that have that skill. You wouldn't expect a man his size to move the way he does or have the explosiveness to his step the way he does, but again, he's transcendent. I laughed at those who suggested Isaiah Simmons at number 5 last year. But with Parsons, it's no laughing matter. He's worth every bit of the investment, no questions asked. His time as an edge rusher before he was converted have also given him a rare pass rushing skill set that most linebackers just simply do not have. Running backs and even sometimes inline blocking tight ends get blown the hell up on contact. Sometimes he's just simply unblockable, like in the Cotton Bowl Classic last year against Memphis, where he won the game's defensive MVP. He tallied 7 solo tackles, 7 tackle assists, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He isn't a top-flight athlete, but mirroring tight ends and running backs in coverage isn't a problem for him. He can play well in traffic, having no problems getting off blocks, working his way through it, and getting to the ball carrier. He isn't a playmaker in coverage, same with Moses, meaning don't expect interceptions and pass breakups, as he's only broken up 4 throughout his collegiate career. Penn State is primarily a zone-based team, and he doesn't have a ton of man coverage reps. Honestly, other than those small issues, he's a damn near flawless linebacker prospect, and is only going to get better and better due to him still getting adjusted and comfortable with the position, which again is a scary thought when you think about it, but a defensive end converted to a linebacker, and he's transcendent. Look at him shoot that gap. He's unbelievable. Love this guy. Oh, man. Would love that pick. And number 1, y'all know how much I love this kid. I wouldn't trade the world for this kid if we had a chance to pick him. Penei Sewell, the best tackle I've seen, since I've been doing evaluations or like watching tape to see guys who are coming out, and since I started taking it heavier. This is the man I've been raving about since last January to take if we get a top 3 or top 5 pick, and he's sitting there. Number 58, guys. My number 1 man crush and number 1 prospect, Penei Sewell, is just not far and away the best tackle in this draft class, but he's the best player, and I'll go on record as saying he's the best player to come out in the last 10 years at least. He's who I fell in love with watching Justin Herbert these past few seasons as I watched the quarterback position closely for our, because we had so much draft capital pre-Tua when we were looking at quarterbacks, and he's 6'6", he's 330 pounds, but is a freakier athlete than my 2020 OT1 Tristan Wirfs. Some of the best feet I've seen. So smooth as he moves into his sets, as pretty as watching your favorite deity walk on water, and it just as easy for him. Incredible in space and at the second level, had no problem moving laterally with or mirroring quick rushing defensive backs. An absolute behemoth in the passing game, always keeping his shoulders squared to defenders, hands placed perfectly, and they're like cinder blocks that can't be swatted away by defenders. Always keeps his base wide, and losing leverage battles is not in Penei's DNA. Has only given up 1 sack in his entire collegiate career. Ends the prospect of a bull rush, rip, shed, and tear, or a defender's punch on contact because he plays as powerful and as intimidating as he looks. He'll always give the second effort in pass blocking or run blocking situation. He can pancake any player on the defensive side of the ball at any moment and almost at his own will whenever he feels like it. Was used as a lead blocker constantly in the run game and screen game for Oregon's offense, which saw a ton of success for guys the likes of Justin Herbert and CJ Verdell falling behind this monster of a man. He finishes every play in the pass game, especially in the run game. He's just so aggressive and looks as if he's planting a defender's ass in the grass. It brings him true joy and fulfillment to beat up a defender. The only knocks I can try and conjure up against him is what I would consider a flawless prospect is there haven't really been a lot of elite Pac-12 pass rushers he's had to face, but at the same time, he was dominant against Auburn last year, which had Derek Brown and Mario Davidson too, who both said he was the best player they faced on an offensive line. So, guys, when you look at a player like that, he's also so young with a ton of room to grow, and at only 20 years old, just like Austin Jackson, he hasn't gained his grown man strength yet, which isn't a bad thing. It's a very, very, very scary thing for NFL defenders about to face this kid when he enters the league. So there you have it, guys. That is my top 25 prospects for y'all to either dig tape up on because some guys are worth it, or for y'all to just watch generally. This is I don't trust. Yeah. No, I don't think he's overhyped, Richard. I've been watching him since he's a freshman. He's the real deal. No, sorry. Oh, I cut off, Joby? What did I cut off at? Let me know. I'll give you the ending right now. When did I cut out? Checking out? Let me know when I cut out. I can go back and I can do it. Oh, I cut out at Etienne? So y'all missed my first two? Okay, so what do I got to go back? I got to go back to what? From 4 to 2? Okay, so tell me which number to start at, guys. Number 4. So did you guys see Devonta Smith? Did you see Devonta Smith? Okay, did y'all see Travis Etienne? Okay, so y'all just missed the first two. Oh, you missed the end of Etienne. Okay, cool. No worries. I'll bring it up. We'll go right back into it. No problem. Just give me a sec. Don't worry, I got you guys. Okay. All right, so okay, 2. All right, I'll go back. I'll bring it back up. So we'll start at number 2. Etienne, I'm not going to do over again because clearly maybe the copyright strike was on Etienne. All right. So my number 2 guy was Micah Parsons. So Micah Parsons next to the number 1 guy on this list. He's my favorite prospect in this draft. Also, like the number 1 guy on this list, we'll get to after I was touting Parsons since last January when I was on the other platform. Parsons is a converted defensive end to linebacker. His size is about as ideal as it can be for the position at 6'3", 245, and he plays up to it. He can beat you with pure power, pure athleticism. You can blitz him, play him off the ball, have him shoot the gaps, ask him to stand up off the edge and beat a tackle with ease. He's so versatile. He's got elite ability to read a quarterback's eyes along with elite read and recognition skills. He can diagnose plays before they happen consistently. You wouldn't expect a man his size to move the way he does or have the explosiveness to a step the way he does. But again, he's a transcendent player. I laughed at those who suggested, the Dolphins take Isaiah Simmons at number 5 last year. But with Parsons, guys, it's not a laughing matter. Parsons is the real deal. He's worth every bit of the investment. No questions asked. His time as an edge rusher before he was converted have also given him a rare pass rushing skill set that most linebackers just simply do not have. Running backs and even sometimes inline blocking tight ends get blown the hell up on contact. Sometimes he's just simply unblockable, like in the Cotton Bowl Classic last year against Memphis, where he won the game's defensive MVP, tallying 7 solo tackles, 7 tackle assists, 2 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. He isn't a top flight athlete, but mirroring tight ends and running backs in coverage isn't a problem for him. He can play well in traffic, having no problems getting off blocks, working his way through it, and getting to the ball carrier. He isn't a playmaker in coverage, same with Moses, meaning don't expect interceptions, pass breakups, as he's only broken up 4 throughout his collegiate career. Penn State is primarily a zone-based team, and he doesn't have a ton of man coverage reps. Honestly, other than those small issues, he's a damn near flawless linebacker prospect, and is only going to get better and better due to him still getting adjusted and comfortable with the position, which is a scary thought when you actually think about it. I love this kid, man. Y'all know I've been driving that train, that Parsons train, for a while now. He's a perfect fit. You can use him in so many different ways in that linebacking core. Just look at how easily he shoots that gap, just uncontested. Great player, transcendent player, just like this kid right here who's opted out. And I think the most transcendent player in the draft, and arguably maybe the most transcendent player in the last 10 years, the man I've been raving about since last December, to take if we get a top 3 or top 5 pick and we have our quarterback situation figured out. If he's sitting there, the best tackle prospect I've ever watched or evaluated, my number 1 man crush and number 1 prospect, Penei Sewell, is not just far and away the best tackle in this draft class, but he's the best player. Okay. And I'll go on record as saying he's the best player to come out in the last 10 years at least. He's who I fell in love with watching Justin Herbert these past few seasons as I watched the quarterback position closely pre-Tua for our quarterback-hungry Miami Dolphins. He's 6'6", 330, but is a freakier athlete than my 2020 OT1 Tristan Wirfs. Some of the best feet I've ever seen, so smooth as he moves into his sets, as pretty as watching your favorite deity walk on water, and just as easy for him. Incredible in space and at the second level. You look at this guy, no problem moving laterally with or mirroring quick rushing defensive backs, an absolute behemoth in the passing game, guys. Always keeps his shoulders squared to defenders, hands always perfectly placed, and they're cinder blocks that can't be swatted away by defenders. He always keeps his base wide, okay, and losing leverage battles just isn't in his DNA. Has only given up 1 sack in his entire collegiate career, ends the prospect of a bull rush, rip, shed, and tear, or a defender's punch on contact because he plays as powerful and as intimidating as he looks. Will always give the second effort in pass blocking or run blocking situation. He can pancake any player on the defensive end of the ball at any moment and at any time at his own will. Was used as a lead blocker constantly in the run game and screen game. And CJ Verdell and Justin Herbert benefited from that because he's a monster of a man. He finishes every play in the passing game and especially in the run game. He's just so aggressive and looks as if he's planting a defender's ass in the grass. Brings him true joy and fulfillment in life. The one knock I can try and conjure up is the Pac-12 doesn't have a lot of elite pass rushers, but at the same time, he faced Auburn last year, was dominant, and Derek Brown and Marlon Davidson said he was the best player they've faced. And guys, like Austin Jackson, he's only 20 years old and hasn't gained his grown man strength, which is a very, very scary thing for NFL defenders. So there you go, guys. That is my top 25 players. Let me know in the comments if you agree, if you disagree. Let me know if that video finish because I'm wondering if I got striked again. I'm gonna have to cut that little part out of the video, obviously, just for monetization purposes or whatever. But yeah, guys, that's your top 25 players that I think you should be watching. That you should, if they're opted out or they're injured, like a Jaylen Waddle, dig up the film. Even you can find all 22. You can even find broadcasts of these players on YouTube. It's not hard, guys. All right. So you can find enough. Trust me. Thank you, Todd. Thank you big time. Appreciate it. So, guys, those, there's a lot of players on there that I like. I know I put a couple guys on there that could be second, late second, maybe even third, like a Tyler Shelvin. But Tyler Shelvin is exactly what we need at nose. Stuff the run, fill the gaps, wrap it up. He's 350. He should probably lose a little bit of weight just for his health. He's an absolute monster of a man. But squatty nose tackle, love him. But yeah, thank you. Finn's up next. Appreciate you, K, all day. Thank you, Marino's Goat. I'm sorry that it got busted up like that in the middle of that, guys. I hate that happened. Now I feel like I got to make a version of it where it's just me talking over it and release that part. Who do I think is the best free safety in the class, Gabriel? Well, it depends on, Jevon Holland can play free safety. But if you're going to go best natural free safety, I'm going to have to go Hamza Nasruddin. Well, he can play everywhere too. So if you want me to stick, man, Paris Ford. Okay, if I'm going to go someone who can't play everywhere else, you know what I mean? Like I said, Paris, I'm not moving in the box. Whereas Nasruddin, just like Holland, I can move around the box in the slot on the boundary, right? Paris Ford, if you guys are going to watch one safety, okay, he's not going to be the top safety in the draft. Watch Paris Ford. Some of the funnest film because this man takes guys out of their cleats. Like he's the biggest hitter in the safety class. He might be the biggest hitter in the whole draft class. Like, Joe B, that's a good question. Could Kyle Pitts be a wide receiver one? There is talk about him converting, kind of like you see Chase Claypool right now, because like I said, Joe B, he runs routes like a wide receiver, but he also blocks like one too. And that's and I mean like the lower spectrum of the wide receivers. He's not a very good blocker. You know what I mean? I had Kyle Pitts lower because I think if they had to come gun to head, you're taking Freiermuth because of what he offers you in the run and pass game as a blocker. Agreed, Gabriel. I like Holland. I'm just in love with Holland. Holland is, I'm not going to compare him, but, he's what Jamal Adams is. You can use him in so many different ways. He's like, Jevon Holland is very, very talented. And he, like, how Isaiah Simmons coming out? Here's my thing. Isaiah came out and everyone's kind of like, he's the jack of all trades, but master of none. Holland is the jack of all trades, but good enough to master whichever one the coaching staff picks. And you look at our coaching staff, we stress versatility. You know what I mean? And a player like that is basically as versatile as it gets. So, I mean, huge Jevon Holland fan. I also like Caden Stearns if you're going to talk true free safeties. Yeah. So, but as you can see, guys, I'm not on the Jamar Chase hype train. I'm not on the Gregory Rousseau hype train. Sorry, I'm just not. Gregory Rousseau is way too raw. Gregory Rousseau, out of every player in this draft, especially in the first round, is the one who needed to play all the way to the end of his senior season. So I'll take Basham. And I'll take Patrick Jones all day over him. So, any questions you guys got? I'm going to stick around for about maybe 10, 25 minutes more, and I'll get out of here. And then, guys, oh, man, y'all don't even know. Me and EM are going to be coming back either Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll let y'all know. But we got a good topic. I like James Twyman from Pitt as well. Jonathan, I think that Pitt defense is stacked. Twyman is in my top 50 for sure. Probably might even be in my top 35, top 40. Havoc, I love Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard. I love Chuba Hubbard. Fellow Canadian, Oklahoma State running back. Love him. Love him. I think he's super talented guy. Again, kind of more of you could get him in the second or third. You know what I mean? He's legit. He's legit. Ernesto, Miami's. I like Aiden Hutchinson, Gabriel. I just don't think we need him. Ernesto, what is Miami's biggest needs? I don't care what anyone says. I still want a safety because we don't have depth. Now, where you address it, that's up to you. We're going to need a running back because I don't know if they're going to re-sign Breda. And then beyond Breda, like, what do we have? Like Laird. Okay, I like Laird, but we can do better. So running back, nose tackle, we need a true zero tech. I think we need an interior linebacker for sure. I wouldn't mind a wide receiver. We need a center, the future center, because Karras, I believe he's only on a 1-year contract. That's why Creed Humphrey and Josh Myers made this list. Also Trey, like I mentioned earlier with the honorable mentions, Dickerson from Alabama. I like Trey Hill from Georgia. So I think those are a lot of our needs. Let me think here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry, guys. The questions are coming here. Mr. AC Milan, Aiden Hutchinson is the edge. I was just talking. I like him, but there's other guys I like better. I think I got him like edge 4, edge 5, something like that. I know, Nico. I love Dylan Moses. He's so good. So good. You know what? Like, I don't. If y'all want my honest opinion, I don't want an edge this year. The edge I want is coming out the year after, right? Like, if you need a ball hawk safety, man, Holland's that guy. Stearns is that guy. Paris Ford's always around the ball. The edge I want is eligible to come out in 2022. Jazza, Terrace Marshall is balling out this year. I mean, he's clearly been the best player on that offense, bro. Like, man, he is so good. I am so impressed with him this year. Like, kudos to that young man. He is balling out. He may stay back for his senior season though, right? Because of how deep the draft is. I could see him staying for the senior year, balling out again, and then just raising his draft stock. That's what I would do if I was him. Mr. AC Milan, the 2020 draft isn't as deep, but the edge that I want is coming out in 2022. And that's Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. That's who I want. I've been on record saying this since he was a freshman last year. Kayvon Thibodeau is an absolute. You want to watch an edge? He's not eligible, but if you want a good watch, go watch Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon, and then Thibodeau is Thibodeux. Kayvon Thibodeau. Go watch him. That's who I want. Yo, here's my problem. I love Patrick Jones. I love Basham. I don't see a transcendent edge in this class. Like, there's no Bosa, there's no Garrett. Kayvon Thibodeau could be that. And guys, I'm not an Oregon fan, and I know people are a little reluctant, especially in Miami, because of Deion Jordan. We didn't use Deion Jordan properly, A, right? Deion Jordan wasn't used properly, and B, I could have told you that was a reach. Yeah, Bubba Bolden. There's chaos. There's like this safety draft is deep. deep. So I'm like loving this safety draft. It's been one of the funnest to watch. I thought last year's was deep. So there you go. Sean Jones. I'm an Oregon fan. That boy good. Oh, Thibodeau's the real deal. That man is legit. But he'd be more ideal for 4-3, not a 3-4. That's the reality of it. But the kid's so athletic and he has a pretty high aptitude. I got no problem if they try and convert him. If anyone can, it's Flores, right? But Thibodeau is a freaking monster, man. Jesus. Kid is special. And you know what's beautiful about that, Sean Jones? Guess whose contract's up in 2 years? Emmanuel Ogbah. Emmanuel Ogbah's contract ends before that draft. So it's a possibility, Huge Thibodeau fan. Man, I know a lot about Oregon because I watched so much Justin Herbert. So they got some good players. Justin Flo, yes. Latrell, beast. That kid's going to be a beast. Linebacker. Yeah, that kid's going to be a stud too. Yeah, that defense is for real, man. That Oregon defense is legit. Yeah, man. I wanted Ashton Davis this year too, Gabriel. Ashton, I wanted Antoine Winfield first, and y'all see how he's balling out. So, and I think Jevon Holland could be better than Antoine Winfield. Could. I'm not going to say he will be. He could. Because Antoine Winfield also got that lineage from his father. Yeah, we'll look into that, Joe B. Don't worry, I got some ideas. But y'all going to want to pay attention to what me and EM got on Tuesday or Wednesday. Yes, Jeremy Chin is also balling, Nico, and he was on my top 10 safety list as well, big board. Yeah, I would love Holland. Latrell. It makes sense because of how this coaching staff covets versatility. Jevon Holland just makes so much sense. And you want me to pitch y'all? Bobby McCain's playing great. Imagine how much better he will be as a nickel now after, cutting his teeth as a single high. You could push him back to nickel, or you could just rotate them. So, yeah, Curtis. I don't know. It's neck and neck for me. Holland can do more. Both deadly punt returners, though. That's for sure. Yo, Rhino, you still in the comments, brother? Let me know if you're out there in La La Land, bro. Yeah. Just like, hey, guys, if Rondale Moore wasn't 5'9", all day, I would invest a top 15 pick in that kid. But Rhino's MIA. No, Rhino said he had some. I know he was here earlier. He said he had something planned. Yeah, Jason, we funneled out the nonsense from the media for this long. What's another week until Tua takes the field and shows them why? So I'm a firm believer that, as much as I believe this was the plan, the bye week, I don't think they would have made it if he wasn't ready for the plan to be activated, to be moved forward. I don't think they would have made that move. And guys, you know what I want y'all to do? There's 100 in the room right now. First of all, I want you to smash that like button. Second thing I want you to do is, guys, I want you to head on over to your favorite podcast outlet, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, whatever, Podbean, doesn't matter. I want you guys to go over and check out episode 4 of The Finish Line. Of course, my podcast with Richmond Webb and Mr. Ballgame. And Ballgame was supposed to be here, guys, but he had just something came up. But, just go search Dolphins Brawl, and this is what'll come up. And that top episode is episode 4, guys. And, we got the last 2 episodes. Episode 3 is from a week prior to that. We're keeping it rolling, Big O. No weeks off over here. What are you saying? So go check that out. It's an hour and 11 minutes. And guys, I want y'all to think about this. Our boy Tua, number 1, is starting on the first day of the 11th month. And this show was 1 hour and 11 minutes. A lot of ones across the board. And that was just by chance. Go check it out. Go listen to Richmond Webb's thoughts on it. I got more thoughts on it over there. Mr. Ball Game. Go check it out. We also talk about the victory over the Jets. We talk about Ryan Fitzpatrick and how he handled it, how Flores handled the whole situation. It's a good listen, guys. It's worth your time. You can put it on when you're working out, driving somewhere, wherever the case may be. Audio format. Go show it some love, guys. Episode 4, The Finish Line, presented by the Brawl Network and Dolphins Brawl. And I still say best intro in the audio podcast game in the Miami Dolphins community. So go check that out if you have a chance, guys. And if you want some content tomorrow, because you know what it is. No Monday night game for us as our bye week continues. So guys, I've hit the hour and a half mark to some extent because apparently I got hit with a copyright issue. So we will go check that out, and I will go check that out. If any of y'all want to come and chop it up backstage with me for a few minutes, I'll drop the link. I'll be here for the next little 10, 15, 20 minutes figuring this out. But until then, guys, y'all already know what time it is. It's Fins Up all day, every day. And I'll be back either Tuesday or Wednesday. And we'll basically let you know on our Twitter when we'll be coming back. And smash that like button. Guys, if you'd like to donate to the channel, paypal.me/Phinside. Phinside the NFL, Patreon, www.patreon.com/Phinside the NFL. Shout out to every single one of our Patreons for, going that extra effort. We love each and every one of you. Of course, Rhino Sith and Infinite Trauma are the original OGs when it comes to that Patreon. Shout out to the homies too who weren't far behind, Fake Spike 94 and Joe B. And then continuing on here, shout out to Red Dino, Big Time, Slim Pickens, Mr. Two Bits, Seth, Ramon Casillas, Shake Money, Shake, KA all day. We appreciate every single one of you guys, and it's nothing but love. I hope all y'all have a blessed Sunday, and I'll see all of y'all in the next couple of days with EM, and y'all are going to love that topic. All right, guys, I'll see y'all. Fins up, fins out. Have a good